Hi, this is Michael, and I'll try to see how well I can do on this informative maps quiz. So here we go. I know these are the countries that don't use the metric system, so you go with A. This one, it could be international territories or it could be time zones. It's hard to decide. I'm thinking it's B, time zones. This one, this is a famous map. This is T, true. This is B, Pangaea. This one was challenging because these are warmer places where you would have more sunburn, but it doesn't make sense that sunburn would be tracked by per square kilometers per year. That's data just isn't kept on that. Deaths from insect related causes, that seems reasonable. However, it's definitely not forest fires because a lot of these places don't have regular forest fires, and you wouldn't measure per square kilometer per year. But really, these warm places also have a lot of lightning, so I'm thinking it's C, lightning strikes. So this is definitely not the flu because the flu is older than 1940. This is definitely, uh, it's definitely not Starbucks. Starbucks didn't exist until the 70s. So it's either Walmart or McDonald's. And McDonald's is older than Walmart. I think McDonald's is from the 40s, so I'm going with McDonald's. So it's not alcohol because you'd notice a disparity between the more religious countries and the non less orthodox countries, I should say. And it's not alcohol too because China drinks more than the US does. Let's see. And also it says kilograms per year, so it's not a beverage like coffee or alcohol. So it's either broccoli or coffee, and I'm thinking because of how the Nordic countries are lit up like that, I'm thinking it has to be coffee since coffee's drank more in colder parts of the world. Definitely nothing to do with Kyrgyzstan. Fun fact, the capital of Kyrgyzstan is Bishkek. Completely irrelevant, definitely not cheese. It has to be C. FCPA, I think it has something to do with copyright or something. So if it has to do with copyright, it's definitely not bribery, definitely not guns. Let's see. I'm thinking it's C. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Darker areas. It's either water scarcity or sunburn. Actually, it has to be water scarcity because these places that are lit up like this definitely has to be water scarcity. Places that don't get a lot of rain are lit up. So let's do B. I've seen this map before. This is A translated literally from Chinese. So it's definitely not language because all these blue places don't have the same language. And it's definitely not type of government because these don't have anything to do with national borders. So it's definitely writing system, so D, because all of these places in blue have the same writing system. Then over here you'd have Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and Russia, Ukraine. It's all the same writing system, basically. This is definitely A. I've seen this map before. This is a hard one. It's definitely not convicts because Scandinavia has very few convicts for their population. They have very low recidivism rates. All of these places would have similar amounts of elementary school teachers per capita. Same with construction workers. A lot of the research in the world is done in these countries that are here in purple, so I'm thinking it's C, researchers. This is definitely B, most common surname. This is kind of hard because the US doesn't really have maternity leave, paternity leave, or sick leave at the federal level. However, because it's so common, and because of this timeline, because it says weeks, like 26 weeks and 14 weeks, it can't be sick leave. And for paternity leave, that would be too many countries participating, so it has to be maternity leave. So here, the more orthodox countries, like over here, for example, aren't doing whatever this thing is, so it has to be, it's most likely alcohol. And then these are the parts of the world where people drink more on average compared to the rest of the world, so it has to be A, alcohol. Definitely A, rivers that feed into the Mississippi. C, vegetation. This is definitely by population, because India has like a very high population. Let's see. This has to be piracy because these are the only parts of the world that have that much piracy, and all the other parts wouldn't make sense. So D, piracy. So it can't be McDonald's because I know Iran doesn't have McDonald's, and it can't be Walmart because Iran doesn't have Walmart. So it has to be C, countries that Britain hasn't invaded, because Britain's invaded basically everywhere. It's definitely D, Google Street View. Because of the way this lines up with Asia, like Eastern Asia specifically, it's either GDP or population. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't make sense for it to be GDP because if it was GDP, you'd see more for Europe and North America. So it would have to be a population. I'm thinking this is D. This is a hard one. So it could be train routes. Like you see all these places are very close together. But when I look at this list, I also notice that Hong Kong and Taipei, there's no train in between Hong Kong and Taipei, which means that this has to be C, busiest air travel routes. This one, A, 2%. I know this one because in middle school I had to choose an article to write an essay about, and I remember I chose an article about these rubber ducks. So, B. Yeah, this is definitely in Japan, India, UK. Australia, New Zealand, these are all places they drive on the left. So C. I'm thinking this is oil because, like, here there's the North Sea. A lot of oil comes out of the North Sea. And then Nigeria has a lot of oil. Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil. And I believe there's a lot of oil in this area also. And then there you have Texas and Venezuela. Right at that circle is Venezuela, so it has to be B. So 97%. Wonder which one did I get wrong? Let's see. What's the answer to this one? Bribery. A fine for bribery seems weird. Something about that seems ironic. I'll have to Google what the FCPA is later. Well, thank you for watching. Have a good one. See you next time.